heroin addicts. In 1980, Pakistan had 5,000 heroin addicts, and by May 1985, according to official Pakistani government statistics, Pakistan had 1.2 million heroin addicts. In 1999, the number one was 2 million by 2005. It was between 3 to 5 million, the highest population of heroin addicts in the world. And it's no coincidence, brothers and sisters, that Pakistan's decline into drug addiction goes along with what America's influence in Afghanistan in the war against the communists. Wherever America goes, you have an increase in drugs cultivation. Gangster rap, the real story. We're coming to a close. Let's wrap things up. Death Row Records, probably one of the most infamous and famous hip-hop record labels ever created. Pawns in the game. I call them pawns because they weren't the controllers of Death Row. They were there to do what pawns do in a chess game. And pawns are what? Expendable. They're told where to go by the king. Shug Knight, the owner of Death Row, as they like to tell us. About 2% of people involved in the rap industry are real gangsters, the rest are fake. Here is a real gangster, David Kenner, lawyer, the real owner of Death Row Records. Michael Harry O'Harris was at one time one of the biggest crack dealers in the USA, along with his wife Linda Harris. He set up Death Row with the help of David Kenner. Officially, Death Row Records was owned by Godfather Entertainment Incorporated. The directors of GFE were listed as David Kenner and Linda Harris. Shug Knight was listed as the CEO of Death Row and David Kenner as the chairman of Godfather Entertainment. So Snoop and Dre worked for him. That was their boss. The lawyer. Not the gangster. David Kenner is the lawyer for Israeli gangster Hal Waknine, a member of the Jerusalem Group network. Kenner was also charged with tax violation in the USA. He never paid his taxes. On the 20th of October 2005, the Israeli newspaper Haaretz ran an article entitled The Agony of the Ecstasy. In the article, it covered a US State Department report that said at least 75% of the market in the drug ecstasy was controlled by Israeli gangsters. The number one group being the Jerusalem Group network. 5 months later, in 2006, the East Bay Express ran an article entitled Feeling Their Fizzle. The article outlined the rise of the use of ecstasy among young rap fans and rappers. So who do you think is really controlling hip-hop? Now remember, David Kenner is the hip-hop lawyer with links to Israeli gangster Hal Waknine, a member of the Jerusalem Group network. Ask the question, who do you think opened the door for ecstasy into rap music and culture? Who would have had the links to rappers, DJs and Israeli gangsters? You decide. But wait, it gets worse. In 1995, Shug Knight was put on probation for actions related to intimidation and murder threats. David Kenner worked out a deal with the LA County Deputy District Attorney, Lawrence Longo, to keep him out of jail. At the same time, Shug Knight was living in a home rented to David Kenner. Guess who owned it? Lawrence Longo, Deputy District Attorney of Los Angeles. Lawrence Longo's 18-year-old daughter Gina was signed to a record deal with guess who? Death Row Records. The police, crooked lawyers, so-called gangster rappers, all working together to create a fantasy. This was actually done by a friend of mine in America. His name is Kiki Odi Owadu. So at the bottom you have the urban, the ghetto boys, the celebrity gangster rappers, the finance, the lawyers, the criminal justice system, the police agencies, the entertainment industry, organized crime, the US Justice Department, the FBI, US National Security Council, behavioral researchers. Yeah, behavioral researchers, how you can make people think and act in a certain way by certain stimulus. the Council on Foreign Relations, the White House, the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, the Trilateral Commission. This man here, William Colby, the former director of the CIA, said the following: the Central Intelligence Agency owns everyone of any significance in the major media. Operation Mockingbird was a Central Intelligence Agency operation to influence domestic and foreign media, whose activities were made public during the Church Committee investigation in 1975. So you have to begin to ask yourself the question, brothers and sisters, friends and guests, how many of these rappers are really controlled and are working for the CIA, the FBI, MI5, MI6, to do what? To create and control behavior in society. Now here is a fake gangster, Dr. Dre 2007. Let's look at Dre back in the 1980s. Yeah, that's Dre. Lipstick, fake tooth, sequins, ain't nothing but a girlfriend. This is the reality of the rap music that many of you may be listening to. You're looking at Dre like he's the gangster man, when he's the girly boy. Reality. Another fake G. 50 Cent and the Police. But then again, we shouldn't be surprised, because let's break down 50 Cent. It's 5-0. What's 5-0 stand for? Policeman. To finish off, brothers and sisters, I want to leave you a quote from this great brother here, Sayyid Qutb Shaheed, inshallah. Standing on the periphery of this miserable mankind is a gang of exploiters whose sole aim is to profit from other people's miseries and confusion. These gangsters consist of usurers, film producers, manufacturers of fashion, publishers of pornographic books and magazines. Brothers and sisters, friends and guests, if you haven't worked it out already, if you haven't analysed yourself and you haven't realised it yet, and you still love hip-hop, you still love rap, you are part of the matrix. Plugged in, unaware that you are being controlled by people above. And they're not controlling you for the good of society, they're controlling you for the detriment of society. So now the time is for you to make a choice. Stay plugged in and believe whatever you want to believe, or unplug yourself and believe and know that the only certainty in life is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is God, and you will be judged by Allah. You will be judged by God on the day of judgment. And that is a reality. Where this is a fantasy. You will be asked about 4-year-old Tawfiq Hussein, killed by Israeli snipers. What did you do to stand up and defend him? What did you do to speak out against the evils of the state of Israel? You did nothing. You know why you did nothing? You was listening to the new 50 Cent. 4-year-old Ilham Asar, what was you there for him when he was brutalized? And on the day of judgment, he will say to you, why didn't you help me? Why didn't you speak out for me? You know what you were speaking out for? To get that girl's digits. That's the speaking out you was doing. I would like to thank the following people, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for those who help you should thank them. Keely Oli Awadu, the Conscious Rasta, the Black Dog, Alfred Coach Power. Before I end, inshallah, I'd like to say the following. Of course, all the mistakes are mine, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His knowledge is free of all imperfections. And I ask you, my brothers and sisters in Islam, to make dua for me and to ask Allah to forgive me the mistakes I may have made. I haven't meant to offend anybody, and if I have, I apologize to you. And if I hope that you have woken up today, that you have unplugged, and you've realized the fantasy that you've been living
then I hope it does some purpose and it does some good for you, and all good is from Allah. Inshallah ta'ala, Salatul Maghrib is coming, and inshallah I know the next lecture will be up after me, and probably there'll be a question and answer period later. So inshallah, Jazakallah khairan for inviting me here today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.